So, what's wrong with microbrand watches? Well, nothing. I mean, they're amazing how affordable they can be with how many specs they give you, but there is actually one glaring issue that I'm taking with microbrand watches that will keep me from buying probably any of them in the future unless it's addressed. That they're lacking in a brand story and a brand identity. But I do think there's a way that they can fast track it, and that way they'll appear more genuine, at least to me, when they're selling the watches. Welcome to the channel, by the way. This is the 1010 Club, where we focus on affordable watch collecting. New videos every Tuesday and Thursday. But by affordable watches, I mean very affordable watches that are on this channel. The most expensive one that I've reviewed so far is a $250 Phoebus Wavemaster, and actually that's kind of the crux of this whole video, because it got me thinking, is it better to spend $250 on a fully spec'd out, yet non-heritage microbrand, or 4 heritage brand watches that are all under-spec'd, but combined together are actually less money than the one Phoebus? That was going to be the whole video until I realized the answer for me was quite clear. If I had to do it all over again, I'd just buy those 4 cheaper heritage brand watches than the one micro brand watch. I also, though, do want to shine a spotlight on the 4 challengers, because combined for under $250, these 4 watches are stunners. I mean, the Orient Bambino, so famous and so gorgeous. The Vostok Commandeersky, also steeped in history. The Seiko SNK 366, who doesn't love a gold Seiko? And a Casio databank, which has broken boundaries as far as I'm concerned with being a modern calculator watch. So it's like a mishmash with these 4 watches compared to one watch that has every spec under the sun. But what it's lacking, and I think the problem with microbrands, is that they're lacking in a brand story and a brand identity. It's almost not their fault. I mean, most of these brands are new, and I mean, look at Seiko, look at Casio. It can take years to build a brand history and a brand identity, but I do think there's a way that they can fast track it, and that way they'll appear more genuine, at least to me, when they're selling the watches. Microbrands don't have a story. They just popped up and they're putting everything on paper onto a watch that you would like. But for me, it's not enough. And if I could do it again, I would not buy the Phoebus. It's a gorgeous watch. It's so well designed. I love the colorway. It's a fun modern colorway with a timeless design kind of combined together. Again, every spec you could ever want under the sun is put on this watch. This, on paper, is my favorite watch. Off of paper, it's not, and it comes down to the brand story. That's why I love Seiko so much, for example. I mean, this isn't on the list today, but my SKX, I look forward to beating the hell out of this watch, because that's its history. Whether you're diving or just being rugged in general, I love taking this watch camping, for example. Whatever it is, I know I'm joining in a long history of people who have also beat the crap out of this watch, and it just feels good. The same movement is inside this SNK, so that history is still there. The 7S26, yeah, it can be annoying because it doesn't hand wind or hack, but there is a history that I love participating in with that watch and that movement. The Casio watch, similar but different. It's more of a personal reason for me. My grandfather was a huge digital watch guy. He was a 2-wrist watcher, and one of them was always a calculator watch. So to be able to have a calculator watch and honor him, yet also bring it into the new century with this new modern design, the negative display, the awesome design on the watch band, the vents, the way that the little notches continue onto the watch case, I think is just amazing. So there's an extra emotional tie when I wear these watches, and that's something that microbrands right now don't have. Whether you fully realize it or not, when you're buying something, one of the factors is buying into the brand story. I mean, Jordan would be a huge example. Jordan shoes, when you're buying them, yeah, they look cool, yeah, they're collectible, but also you're attaching yourself to Michael Jordan. What a feeling. Microbrand watches just don't have it. Yes, time could take care of that, but I think they need to be more active in making their brand have a real, tangible story. I mean, I think the most glaring example of having a poor story or having a not authentic story is Axios, a gorgeous watch, the flagship that just came out. But when you click on it and you read about it, they're attaching this watch to a naval admiral from hundreds of years ago. And to me, that just rings inauthentic. They're saying, look, be like this naval admiral by wearing this wristwatch, even though wristwatches weren't really invented back then even. But our attitude is similar to this guy's attitude. Really? Maybe. Kind of. There's no real world example of that. You're just hoping that we'll believe you and attach ourselves to a story from the past. That's not something I'm interested in. I don't want to put on an Axios and say, oh, I feel like a mid-18th century sailor. What I really would encourage Microbrands to do is get more hands-on. I'm talking about endorsements. I'm talking about hosting or sponsoring competitions. They need to get dirty and do the things that they say their watches are about if I'm going to be interested in buying them, because I've realized I'm more of a heart than a head guy. So I can't just feel good having every spec under the sun on my wrist. I want to feel like I'm participating in something. So if you're a dive watch company like Axios or Phoebus, sponsor a deep sea diver, sponsor a skin diving competition. I think there's so many opportunities to build a real story with Microbrands than just try and attach yourself to a theoretical story or a story from history. Yes, it costs money, and no, Microbrands don't have a lot of money. And yes, I am thankful that most of the low costs are passed on to us right now. And if they had to spend money on that kind of advertising and that kind of endorsements, maybe their prices would rise. But I would even be willing to have more of a limited release of watches and then put the money saved from manufacturer into this branding experience. It sounds inauthentic when I'm saying it. I'm asking to be advertised to more rather than save me money on awesome spec'd watches. But for me, I want to participate in something that I agree with, that I relate to, that makes me feel better. And it's more than just looking at something shiny and pretty on my wrist. So Phoebus, so Axios, so any Microbrand watch that right now is selling these awesomely spec'd watches for under $500. That's an amazing thing. But can we take it a step further? Can we join the conversation culturally? Who do you want to represent your brand? Who is your customer in the extreme? Show us that and see if we relate to that. That's what I'm asking. That's what I think the issue with Microbrands are today. And that's the reason why I probably won't buy another one until I start seeing that kind of evolution. Because if I see one more watch grasping so desperately at a random story to represent their brand, it's going to be too inauthentic and I'm going to shut my ears. I love the way that Axios looks, so I want to encourage them to come up with more watches. I don't want this to be crapping on any of these Microbrands because, again, thank you for giving us affordable watches with these awesome specifications. I'm just asking, I guess, for a little more authenticity, and I think it'll be not that hard to provide. Thanks for joining me. New videos every Tuesday and Thursday on this channel. A subscription, again, helps a lot. So does liking this video if you liked it. And I would love to hear what you think about all this. I'm kind of crapping on something that is helping us all out in a little bit of a way. But for me, again, it's the way this makes me feel. I need to feel a certain way other than just, ooh, pretty. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you soon.